I, 23F, have spent days trying to write this post. Every time I start, I feel sick to my stomach thinking about what Jake, 27M, and Sarah, 28F, did to me. I keep questioning how I missed all the signs, but I guess when you trust someone completely, you don't look for red flags. I met Jake 2 years ago through a mutual friend at a house party. He was charming, attentive, and seemed genuinely interested in everything about me. After a string of bad relationships, I thought I'd finally found someone who really cared. Jake was patient with my trust issues and never pushed me to do anything I wasn't comfortable with. He'd listen for hours when I talked about my past relationships and how they left me with anxiety about commitment. Our first year together was amazing. Jake integrated perfectly into my friend group, got along with my family, and always made me feel special. He encouraged me to pursue my career goals and supported me through my promotion at work. I really thought he was the one. About 6 months into our relationship, I started selling some furniture on Facebook Marketplace to clear out my apartment. That's how I met Sarah. She bought a vintage dresser from me and we hit it off immediately. She had just moved to the city and was looking to make friends. We bonded over our similar taste in music and fashion. Sarah seemed so genuine at first. She told me about her anxiety and depression, how hard it was moving to a new city alone. She shared stories about her toxic family and abusive ex who had destroyed her self-esteem. I felt protective of her, wanting to help her feel welcome and safe in her new home. Jake encouraged our friendship, saying it was good for me to have close female friends. He suggested inviting her to our game nights and weekend brunches. Sometimes he'd remind me to check on her if she seemed down. I thought he was just being caring and supportive. Over the next few months, Sarah became a regular part of our lives. We'd have movie nights at our place, go shopping together, or just hang out and talk for hours. She confided in me about her dating struggles and I shared details about my relationship with Jake. She became the sister I never had. One night, about 4 months ago, we were all hanging out at my place having drinks. Sarah started crying about feeling lonely and unwanted. She said watching Jake and me together made her realize how much she missed having someone care about her. Jake suggested she stay over since she was upset and had been drinking. I'm not sure exactly how it happened, but we ended up all sleeping together that night. I had never done anything like that before, but I trusted them both and the alcohol made everything feel okay. It happened 3 more times after that, always after drinking. Each time, I felt more uncomfortable, like I was just there for their entertainment. The last time, I noticed how they seemed to have their own rhythm, their own inside jokes. I felt like a prop in their show. That's when I decided to end it. I messaged Sarah saying we could stay friends, but I didn't want to continue the intimate part of our relationship. Her response shattered my world. She sent me hundreds of screenshots of conversations between her and Jake dating back to before we even met. They had been together the whole time, plotting everything. They chose me as their target because I seemed naive and desperate for friendship. The screenshots were vile. They mocked my trust issues, my past traumas, everything I'd confided in them. They had a whole plan. Sarah would buy something from me, become my friend, and slowly work her way into our relationship. They had done this before with other girls, but it never worked out so well. Jake shared every intimate detail about me with her. They laughed about how easy it was to manipulate me because I was so trusting. Sarah even sent me videos they had secretly recorded during our intimate moments. I didn't know they were filming. I never consented to that. When I confronted Jake, he turned everything around on me. He said I should have known they were together, that I was just too stupid to see it. He claimed I wanted it to happen and was only upset because they didn't want me anymore. Now they're officially together and Sarah won't stop harassing me. She calls from different numbers while they're together, describing things in detail to humiliate me. She's messaging mutual friends sharing explicit details about what happened. I had to delete all my social media because she keeps making new accounts to torment me. The worst part is feeling so helpless. They violated my privacy and consent in the worst way possible. They have videos of me that I never agreed to. But I'm too ashamed to go to the police. How do I even begin to explain this? I trusted 2 people who spent months planning to humiliate me? I can't sleep without having nightmares. Every phone notification sends me into a panic attack. I had to move back in with my parents because I'm afraid to be alone. I keep replaying every conversation, every interaction, looking for signs I must have missed. Were they laughing at me the entire time they pretended to care? How many of our friends knew what was really happening? Every memory of the past year feels tainted now. I can't trust my own judgment anymore. I just need advice on how to move forward from this. How do you heal when the people you trusted most turn out to be monsters? How do you ever trust anyone again after something like this? Update 1 first, I want to thank everyone who commented on my original post. Your support and advice meant everything during this nightmare. I took your suggestions about documenting the harassment, but things have gotten so much worse than I could have imagined. Sarah's harassment escalated from phone calls to showing up at my workplace. Last Tuesday, she walked into our office pretending to be a potential client. I work at a marketing firm where we often have walk-in consultations, so the receptionist let her wait in the lobby. When I came back from lunch and saw her sitting there, my heart stopped. She just sat there smirking at me for almost an hour until my boss noticed something was wrong and asked her to leave. She waited in the parking lot after that. I was so scared I had to call security to escort me to my car. The whole time she just stood there, watching me with this twisted smile. The security guard offered to call the police, but I was too embarrassed to explain the situation. The next day, Sarah somehow got hold of my coworkers' phone numbers. She started texting them detailed messages about what happened between us. My closest work friend, Amy, showed me the messages. Sarah twisted everything to make it sound like I was some desperate person who forced my way into their relationship and wouldn't leave them alone. People at work started acting weird around me. I'd walk into the break room and conversations would stop. I caught people whispering and staring. Some coworkers who used to be friendly now avoid me completely. It's humiliating having my private life exposed like this. After the workplace incident, I finally broke down and told my parents everything. My mom was supportive and angry on my behalf, but my dad's reaction crushed me. He got furious, not at them, but at me. He kept saying I should have known better than to trust strangers so quickly. He brought up how I've always been too naive, too trusting, just like when I was a kid. We had a huge fight where he basically said I brought this on myself. Now he's barely speaking to me, just gives me these disappointed looks at dinner. My older brother tried to help by confronting Jake at his workplace. He went to the gym where Jake works as a personal trainer and tried to talk to him about stopping the harassment. Jake immediately started yelling that my brother was threatening him and called the police. Now Jake is threatening to press assault charges, even though my brother never touched him. My brother could lose his teaching job if this becomes a legal issue. I feel horrible for causing problems for my family. Yesterday, I learned something that made everything even worse. Mark, Jake's best friend, reached out to me. He confessed that before I met Sarah, she was actually dating him. That's how Jake and Sarah originally met. Mark caught them cheating 6 months before Sarah ever contacted me on Facebook. Instead of warning me when Jake and Sarah started hanging out, he kept quiet because Jake was his best friend. Mark showed me old messages between Jake and Sarah from before they approached me. They had been planning this type of manipulation for over a year. The messages showed them discussing how to find someone trusting and lonely to bring into their relationship. I wasn't their first target, they had tried this with other girls but it never worked out. I was just the first one naive enough to fall for it completely. The harassment got so bad that I finally went to the police yesterday. They took my report but seemed dismissive. They said without direct threats of violence, there wasn't much they could do. When I mentioned the videos taken without my consent, the officer actually asked if I was sure I didn't know about the recording. They suggested I try getting a restraining order instead of pressing charges. I filed for the restraining order, but the hearing isn't for another month. Until then, I'm basically trapped. I had to change my phone number again because they keep finding ways to contact me. Jake's mom even called my mom to yell at her, saying I was making up lies to ruin her son's reputation. She said I was just bitter because Jake found someone better. Most of my friends have slowly disappeared. They say they don't want to take sides or get involved in drama. The few who did believe me are now scared to be around me because Sarah starts harassing them too. She sends them private details about me and makes up horrible lies about what really happened. I've never felt so alone and powerless. My anxiety is through the roof. I jump every time my phone rings or someone knocks at the door. I can't trust anyone anymore. How do I know they're not secretly laughing at me or planning to hurt me? Every time I think about how long they must have been plotting this while pretending to care about me, I feel physically sick. The worst part is that they're still together, living their lives like normal while mine is completely destroyed. They get to be happy while I'm left dealing with panic attacks and trust issues. I don't know how to move forward from this. How do you rebuild your life when the people you trusted most turn out to be sociopaths who enjoy destroying others? Update 2: Just when I thought this nightmare couldn't get worse, everything exploded again. The restraining order hearing finally happened last week, and it was a complete disaster. Sarah and Jake showed up with an expensive lawyer who turned everything around on me. They brought printed screenshots of texts where I had reached out to Sarah after everything happened, asking to talk things through. The lawyer twisted these messages to make me look obsessed and unstable. They completely left out all their harassment, the threatening calls, and Sarah showing up at my workplace. Their lawyer painted this picture of me as a bitter ex who couldn't accept that Jake had moved on. He even suggested I had manipulated them into the intimate situations, not the other way around. The judge seemed confused by the whole situation, probably because their lawyer kept interrupting whenever I tried to explain the full story. But here's where things took an unexpected turn. A girl named Rachel reached out to me after seeing my original Reddit post. She recognized Jake and Sarah's pattern because they did the same thing to her last year in Denver. Her story was almost identical to mine. They befriended her when she was going through a rough time, gained her trust, and then systematically destroyed her life for fun. Rachel sent me everything: old photos of them together, screenshots of conversations, even a police report she filed that went nowhere. She showed me their old dating profile where they specifically looked for sweet, trusting girls to have fun with. It was all there in black and white. They were predators who got off on manipulating people. I immediately took this evidence to my lawyer, but it was too late to submit it for the hearing. The judge denied my restraining order request because there wasn't enough evidence of immediate physical danger. Sarah sat there smirking the whole time, and I saw them laughing together as they left the courthouse. The day after the hearing, my younger sister came to me with something that made me physically sick. She confessed that Sarah had contacted her on Instagram months ago, before I even met her. Sarah was fishing for information about me, asking about my relationship history and trust issues. My sister thought it was weird but didn't want to seem paranoid by telling me. She's devastated now, blaming herself for not warning me. Then my roommate admitted something too. About 2 months into my friendship with Sarah, she had let her into our apartment when I wasn't home. Sarah claimed she needed to return something of mine but instead went through my entire room taking pictures of personal items and going through my journals. That's how they knew so many intimate details about my life. I ended up having to quit my job. Even though my boss was understanding, he said the situation was affecting workplace morale. Sarah would show up randomly, causing scenes in the lobby. Some co-workers complained about feeling unsafe, and clients were starting to notice the tension. I don't blame them. I would feel uncomfortable too. I found a new job in a different part of town and moved to a new apartment. Rachel has been an incredible support through all of this. She's helped me document everything and connected me with other women who had similar experiences with Jake and Sarah. We're thinking of starting a support group for victims of manipulation and betrayal. The more I learn about them, the more horrified I am. This wasn't just some twisted game that got out of hand. They deliberately target vulnerable people. They spend months planning how to gain someone's trust just to destroy them. Rachel told me they even kept score of how badly they could hurt their victims. I'm still struggling, but at least now I know I'm not crazy. These people are predators who get pleasure from destroying lives. I just wish I had seen it sooner. The worst part is knowing they'll probably do this to someone else, and there's nothing I can do to stop them. Update 3. This will be my final update. Rachel and I took action after connecting with other victims. We created a private Facebook group called Survivors of Manipulation without mentioning Jake and Sarah specifically. Within weeks, 5 more women found us and shared similar stories. Their pattern was calculated and consistent. 3 women were from our city, 2 from Denver where Jake lived before. All of them shared the same experience. Jake or Sarah would befriend them when they were vulnerable, pretending to offer support and friendship. They'd spend months building trust before manipulating their victims into compromising situations. Then they'd start the harassment and humiliation. 2 women were actually from Jake's workplace, the gym where he worked as a trainer. He had done this long before meeting Sarah, using his position to target clients going through difficult times. 1 woman had just gotten divorced, another was struggling with self-esteem issues. He used their vulnerability against them. With multiple victims coming forward with evidence, the police finally took our complaints seriously. The cyber harassment and non-consensual recordings violated several laws. Both Jake and Sarah are under investigation now. The gym fired Jake after learning about his pattern of targeting clients. Sarah completely lost it when she found out about the investigation. Last week, she showed up at my new apartment screaming about how I'd ruined her life. I still don't know how she found my address. She was banging on my door at 2 a.m., threatening to expose me. My neighbor called the police and they actually arrested her this time for violating the new restraining order we got with all the additional evidence. Jake tried to save himself by turning on Sarah. He reached out through a mutual friend claiming she was mentally unstable and had manipulated him too. But Rachel had saved messages proving he was actually the mastermind behind most of the harassment. He was using Sarah's emotional instability as cover for his own actions. I'm still dealing with anxiety and trust issues, but I'm getting stronger. My dad finally apologized for blaming me. Seeing other victims come forward made him realize this kind of manipulation could happen to anyone. My brother's case was dropped after Jake's previous victims spoke about his pattern of making false accusations. I moved to a different city for a fresh start. Most of my old friends still avoid me, afraid of getting involved. But I've made new friends through the survivors group. We're working with a lawyer to explore civil charges against Jake and Sarah. The lawyer thinks we have a strong case with multiple victims and evidence. Sometimes I still feel stupid for not seeing through their acts sooner. But then I remember what my new therapist said: manipulators succeed because they're good at what they do. They picked me because I was kind and trusting, not because I was weak or stupid. To anyone going through something similar, document everything, trust your instincts, and don't be afraid to speak up. Predators like Jake and Sarah count on their victims staying silent out of shame. Don't give them that power. I won't be updating anymore. It's time to close this chapter and focus on healing. Rachel and I are channeling our energy into helping other victims protect themselves. Thank you all for your support through this nightmare. Sometimes the worst experiences lead us to our true purpose.